Welcome to Ask the Chiropractor. We're going to have a great session here today. We're talking about the dream. We have some guests here from Mount Pleasant. We have Dr. Deanna Farless. Everyone calls her Dr. D, right?
Yep.
And
Yes.
JD, her husband, who runs the place. And Dr. Tony, everyone knows Dr. Tony Rodnick.
Pleasure to be here again.
My beautiful wife, and I'm Dr. Rodnick from Midland, Michigan. So tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you came from Georgia before coming down here.
That is right. Well, originally, I grew up here in Midland. My dad is Angel from Angel's Karate.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Love
Hey,
that
Dad.
guy.
Hi, Dad. So, yes, I did my undergrad here in Michigan first. I went to Siena Heights University, and I actually was in school to become a teacher. And
I
then
didn't know that.
after that, I actually switched my major to social work.
Wow.
And when I got involved with social work, I was involved for about a year, and not even a full year. But I was coming home crying every single day because I was working with the Child Protective Services.
Oh.
That was rough.
Wow.
And I remember I was coming home crying and talking to my husband, and he was like, Deanna, this isn't okay. You can't cry every day. You can't. This isn't healthy.
It is. It's tough.
And
It's
I went and
emotional
I remember talking to my dad, and my dad's like, "Baby, this isn't good for you. I gotta talk to. I have a friend of mine that he's a doctor and he loves what he does, and maybe you should talk to him. Talk to him and see if he's got any pointers for you." So I got on the phone and it was you. And you were telling me about becoming a chiropractor. I was the best thing you've ever done in your life because you're helping all these people, and people, they come and see you, and they might be going through some really rough things, but after they're done seeing you, they leave happy. And you're always surrounded by that all the time. So I said, you know what? That makes some sense. But it still took a little bit of time after that happened, after that conversation, where I was at work, and I had fallen down a flight of stairs. And that screwed me up. I was in a lot of pain, and a friend of mine says, you need to go see my chiropractor. And I was like, but chiropractors are for old people. I don't know why I had that mindset, but I just thought I was too young for a chiropractor.
I thought they crippled people. So hey.
Either way, I was in so much pain. I go to the chiropractor, and I was fixed up like that. I had my x-rays done, I had my first adjustment, and I couldn't believe how great I felt. After walking around screwed up thinking, oh, this is going to be the new me. This is how life's going to be from now on. So after that, then I was like, oh my gosh, I got to do this. This helped me. This was just so amazingly, like, I want to say it was simple.
And fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here I'd been walking around in pain and dealing with so many problems. Now, at the same time, I also, I had been a preschool teacher, too, at some point in time after these different changes I was going through career-wise, trying to figure out what I wanted to do to be happy. There was these kids in my classroom that were sick all the time. And then there was kids in the classroom that never got sick. And I was like, this is weird. Why is it that these kids, these parents are taking their kids to the medical doctor, they're getting all the antibiotics, they're getting all these things, and they're sick all the time. And meanwhile, these other kids, their parents are like, oh no, I take my kid to the chiropractor. And I was like, the chiropractor?
What the heck?
Interesting.
How's
Your
this
kid's got a bad
possible?
back? Like what?
He fell down the stairs? I
There
don't
was
understand this.
five different parents that took their kids to the chiropractor, and those were the healthiest kids in the classroom. So I said, there is so much more than just back pain going on with this whole spinal adjustment thing. So it was fascinating. And at that point, talking to my chiropractor and everything, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back to school, and I'm going to become a chiropractor.
Wow.
So that's what I did. And that was like in 2006. And then I told my husband, he thought I was crazy because he's like, wait a second, what are you doing? Our life has just started. We finished school. We were like, life is going. Grown-up land has happened, and then...
I think we thought you were pregnant.
Oh, yes. You
I
can
was
take
like,
over that part of the story.
We're not doctors. We're not lawyers. You can't have a kid.
Yeah.
And the rest is history.
Yeah.
We moved to Marietta, Georgia.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what it took for him. Like, we found out that we weren't having children. We thought we were, but that's not what ended up happening. So afterwards, he sold our house right away, and we moved to Marietta, Georgia. And we did so many things backwards with that whole situation, but it all fell into place beautifully. And
Sure did.
Because it was meant to be.
because it was meant to be.
That's right.
And it all worked out. And
Very quickly, too.
They say that a lot,
Yeah.
that chiropractors are like chosen.
oh, yeah.
It's like you were chosen before you even heard the word chiropractic. It's kind of like embedded deep in there somewhere. I don't know.
Oh, yes.
Because that was the last thing I ever wanted to be, was a chiropractor.
I would have
Right?
never,
Oh
ever
my
thought.
God! I would have bet $1 million. No way ever.
Right,
And
right.
then poof, I'm a chiropractor. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've never regretted it. I'm just so
It's awesome.
thrilled.
It is
Yes,
awesome.
it is.
And I'm thankful for that every day because I do love what I do now.
And you changed lives for
Yeah,
the better.
for the
yeah.
better.
Better believe
For
it.
the better.
So then after school, I know you had a practice.
Yes.
You guys,
Yep.
Yes.
I think JD was a big practice building guy.
Yeah. Yeah. As I attended Life University, I had met a chiropractor, Dr. Matt, and he turned me on to opening a practice and kind of guided me in that direction. And so I did that, and I hired a chiropractor, and we ran a practice. Did that for about 10 years, and before she opened, or before she graduated, she had a practice that was being built, and she interned in that practice, and when she graduated, she came in and started practicing. So it really worked out really well, and then we sold, and we are now here in Midland, Michigan, our hometown. So
Mount Pleasant.
yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
We're in Mount
Well,
Pleasant.
we moved back home.
We're close to
so-
our hometown now.
Yeah,
which
so
is
it's
nice.
really nice. Yeah.
Fantastic. How long
Yeah.
were you practicing in Georgia?
Let's see. I was practicing for
Seven
six. Yes. Yeah, almost 7 years over there.
7
And then
years.
we've been here almost a year now too.
So what's your favorite patients?
Oh my gosh. Well,
I know they're all
I was gonna
favorite.
say I
don't
love
mean
them
that.
all.
Yeah,
I really
yeah, yeah.
do because I can just see everybody's different age groups. But I mean, I love
What
working with
pulls your
newborns.
heartstrings, though?
I love working with newborns and toddlers, little kids. Oh my gosh, because they love it. They love getting adjusted. The little babies, like toddler age, 2 years old, 3 years old, they'll come into the office and they walk right over to the table and they lay right down on the
That's so
table.
funny.
And they're so cute because their little tiny bodies are just laying on the table and they're just waiting for their adjustment. And their adjustment's so quick and so easy, and they leave happy. And then they start doing that with the dolls and stuff that we have in our office. They'll find the little teddy bear and they start putting it on the table and they start adjusting the teddy bear, and it's precious. I love it.
So I was calling. I just had this feeling to call this person. You know him, Chuck Ribley, River Chuck.
Yep.
River.
He's a
Yep.
chiropractor. Been I don't know how long. He's probably 50 years in practice. I don't
Long
know.
time.
So now he's like coaching and he's doing all this Inner Winners, which is a motivational speaking group.
Okay.
And so I just felt like calling the guy for like the last week and a half. And so I called him yesterday, and he says, well, you know, you should probably be teaching. And I said, my son wants me to go and start practices all over. And you know, with, you know, our manual, we had a manual we were making and getting it together like that. I know I've helped a lot of people out there and opened tremendous practices. I mean, bigger than I am. So using my stuff, you know, it's like, hey, you know, you're doing it better than me. So anyway, so I was talking to him, and I'm hooked on the miracles.
Oh, it's great.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think I'm addicted. I'm trying to figure out why it is. Like, many times I could have retired already. There's no reason for me to be practicing. But, although when I lose all my money, then I got to practice again. But don't get me wrong, I've done that multiple times. But my point is, I don't want to be a mark out there, but I think I'm hooked on the miracles. Like when someone comes in and says, you know, they've had this for, you know, so many years. And I had one who just came in and she's been to 3 other chiropractors. And she's not one, and as soon as I adjusted her stuff went away. Like, it's gone. And she's like, you know,
Just like
she
magic.
she
Yeah.
said, what the HDLL? She goes, what? She's like, how does this happen? Like, what's going on? I said, well, I was just hitting one button. And you guys know I'm a full spine chiropractor.
Yeah.
But on her, after I did that, I go, well, there's nothing left. I moved the boat and that was it. There's really not much here to do. I did a little
Right.
thoracics, I did her neck, but her whole low back, which I was getting ready to go get, and I go, there's nothing there. It's all disappeared.
It's all better now.
Yeah, it's all better. I better not. I'm old enough to know now.
Right.
If it's good, don't touch it.
Leave it alone.
You know,
Yes.
leave it alone.
Yes.
So yeah, and I just, boy.
But the good stuff, yeah, that's the good stuff. The miracle.
That's the good stuff.
And that was the best thing. You told me that almost, I mean, that was probably 15, 16 years ago that I had that conversation with you on the phone. And you said, I go to work happy and I come home happy every day.
I mean, it still amazes me.
And it's incredible
It's just
because
totally amazing.
we
It
see
is.
that, and then all the members in our office, they'll come in and they'll say, "Can I work here?
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
such a fun place. Can I just stay here?
Or do you want to go to?
I'll volunteer."
Dude, come into your office and they're still sitting in
Yes,
their chair,
and they're just sitting there.
hanging
They just
out.
want to hang out. And I'm like, you know what?
You want to go to
it's
dinner?
Yeah, I'm like, it's
like
better than a lot of
constant.
choices out there. So you know what? That's fine because they're getting good stuff and they're feeling better. They're healing. Their lives are getting better for it. And I mean, I love that.
It's life changing.
Yes,
It's so
it's
cool.
life changing
It
for
is.
me. It's life changing for everybody that gets involved.
So I know that's why I'm doing it. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll keep going forever till these hands fall off. I'm
One
gonna
of
keep
the
going.
absolutely.
chiropractors in this town coming up in another month is 70 years practicing.
Wow.
Wow. That's incredible.
That's awesome.
Oh my God.
Wow.
That is awesome.
Wow. He's totally awesome. He's one of my heroes.
Yeah, Dr. O?
Yeah,
Dr.
Dr.
O.
Yeah.
Nice.
Dr. Ostergren.
Yep.
I can mention
Yep.
his name.
Yep.
Let him sue me. Okay.
Oh, he's amazing. That right there. That's what you want to aim for. That's what I want to do too.
Absolutely.
Yep. Definitely.
It's like I remember when I went to New York, there was another one there, 94 years. He was 94 years old. And he'd been practicing for, over 70. Because back then, you could be a chiropractor at 18.
Yeah.
And another one who just passed away was Dr. Hoffman. And so he was 17, which was not old enough to get his license, but he graduated chiropractic school. So he goes into the Army, or was it Marines? I think it's Marines. And they drafted him. And he goes, well, they put me in this thing, and they're checking out, what should I do? And he goes, well, I'm a doctor. They'll probably make me a medic or something. And flamethrower. They handed him a flamethrower. Put that on your back.
And run.
But he just, So I was just thinking about him too. He just passed away. God,
Yeah.
he made a lot of changes in this state. The Hereford Hoffman AAA case, the one that made it where auto would pay for chiropractic. That was him. He was the guy, which I think that's what killed him. Being that guy, both of them had strokes
Oh my gosh.
shortly after that. It
That's
killed them
incredible.
both. Anyway. I love talking to Hereford about it. He says, they were already paying me. I don't even know why I got on that.
Oh my
He
gosh.
says, they paid me less after I signed it. Anyway. But amazing people. They've been doing this stuff forever. Very cool. Very
It was
cool.
an awesome thing.
Have you ever been to BJ's house or any of that stuff?
No.
No.
No. Pretty incredible
On the list.
people.
We'll do that someday.
I'd love to do that.
So who's BJ?
BJ Palmer was the developer of chiropractic and the developer of radio in our country, and the developer of the plate that has the separated things. That was him too. He didn't like his peas getting in the potatoes.
No.
So yeah, he made that
Separation.
plate with the
Yeah.
separated thing. That
That's
was
pretty-
him. That was him.
That's
all
pretty
right.
awesome.
Oh yeah. Nobody knows that, I guess.
I love it when my food mixes together,
Oh,
so it's
man.
fine.
He was like,
But that's pretty great.
why is my peas getting into my potatoes? Why can't we make something to separate that? And that was him.
Oh, my
so,
gosh.
So yeah, he developed chiropractic, and again, like radio, and just studying him, it's kind of amazing.
Yep.
He
was a-
wasn't always so brilliant.
He was a quirky guy.
quirky guy. The whole family was weird.
Yeah.
I met a few of them now. So there's David Palmer's his son, and then there's a daughter from that family,
Vicky.
Vicky, who's more medical. She went more medical.
Gotcha.
But that's what happened to Palmer there for a bit. Anyway, that's what happened to life. That's how it started. The chiropractic school started because Palmer, which is our original main thing, started getting a little too medical instead of chiropractic. So they wanted to
Got
keep that
it.
strong.
Yeah.
That's how it started. And There's bumps and grinds through the whole thing.
Yep.
It's pretty crazy, pretty crazy. So let's talk about the dream. Dream is diet, rest, exercise, attitude, and maintenance of the spine.
And we call those the 5 pillars of health
Yes.
because they all contribute to a healthy life.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about diet for a minute. I mean, we could spend an hour on each one of these subjects very easily. I could spend days on diet.
Right.
I also have a PhD in nutrition, so not that I know anything. I'm not claiming to know anything, but I just happen to have one. So it's important to get the nutrients, right, that your body can require. The minimum amount is those things you see on the vitamins that you get. It says recommended daily allowance, and it says it on all the stuff now, recommended daily allowance. There's like a whole section just for that. So it says, here's what it is, here's how much of it it has, and this is the recommended daily allowance. What is the recommended daily allowance?
It's the minimum amount required to stop symptoms.
That's exactly it.
Not for optimal health.
So how would you get that? Recommended daily allowance. The amount that we're going to give you is the amount that decreases the symptoms in most of these people. So if I take 10 people, I have to have 2 or less. I don't know what the actual thing is today because I learned this back in the 80s. But in the 80s, all you needed was 2 of them to get sick and 8 of them not sick, and you're in. That's the recommended daily allowance. Okay, so let's say vitamin C. Everyone knows vitamin C. Yep. So if you don't have vitamin C, what happens? You get bleeding gums.
Blood vessels can break, tear easily.
Yes.
Yeah, bruising.
So originally, that happened to who? The sailors would go out, and they would, 6 months later, they bled to death through their skin because they didn't have any vitamin C. Because that's also known as intracellular cement. This vitamin C is also, that's its other name. Right. And they would hemorrhage to death. So first thing you got to do is think, it must be the women. So, right? You always blame the women first.
Women.
And then so they took the women off the ships. That's why, they had no women on the ships.
Right.
Okay? And then later they found out it was vitamin C. So they would bring limes on the boats.
That's why they call the sailors limeys.
That's why they used to call the sailors limeys. Hey, Limey is an insult. Right. Hey, Limey. Right. Okay, because they would go out 6 months later, and they're all like, when the boat came in, they were all like bled to death. Like, pretty gross. So that was the first vitamin, actually. So what's the minimum amount that stops your gums from bleeding? That would be it. That's the minimum. Now, what's the actual amount we're supposed to have, though, is a completely different number. And most of our awareness out there at this time, there's only like a certain percentage of the people understand that. Right. So, I mean, B complex does a million different things. Each one of these are vital. Like, without it, we perish. How long can you live without it? Each one's a little different, but, vitamin D. You don't have vitamin D, what happens? All your bones start breaking.
It's been implicated in a lot of other conditions, too.
And cancers and what else? A bunch of stuff.
Low energy.
Yep.
So it's, so nutrition, you want to have, so for me, my minimum daily requirement would be a B complex, a calcium complex, and an everything vitamin. Right? So I'm taking 3 things is a minimum. Unless you start eating really, 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 really good.
Yeah. Which I think is the best choice. I think
way better choice.
People need to start reaching for vegetables. Reach for your fruits and vegetables. A lot of people are terrified of them. You tell them, what vegetables do you like? And people are like, ugh, I don't even eat them.
Believe it or not,
ketchup.
In the dirt needs to have rest, just like we need rest. So God said, every 7 years, is it what it is?
Something like that.
Give it a break. Leave it alone for a year. And so actually, in the Bible, it says, the corners of the thing, you leave for the people who have no food. So the corners were left for that. I'm talking biblical for a minute. And then the whole thing you leave alone every 7 years. You just don't do anything to it. So we have depleted our soil. And as a matter of fact, the government actually says, let the thing go. I think it's like every 4 years, every fourth year. The farmers can leave no crops and they pay you for it.
Yeah.
So I had a little farm, and my biggest year was the year I didn't grow anything. Don't call me a sucky farmer, but hey, anyway, Rodnick on the farm. So that was my biggest year of income on the farm. But anyway, knowing what's in the soil. So in Michigan, we do not have iodine.
Right.
And so we were the leading folks of goiters for many years. Like everybody had these grapefruits growing off their neck, a second head.
Yep.
So they came out with iodized salt.
And
Morton's iodized
the
salt.
amount they put in it was the amount to stop production of goiters. But
Yes, the minimum amount.
every other cell in your body also requires iodine.
So the minimum amount, it would stop the goiters in most cases. And, yep, very cool. And just to know that, though, there's no iodine. So every now and then I see goiters in the end of the summer because everyone's been eating their own natural fruit and stuff out there. But you got to look at which things don't have, where you're growing it. And if it is, you just put the iodized salt on it or take some iodine. Or what I used to do is put a little bit on my wrist like that at night. And if it's gone in the morning,
You need
I sucked it up.
Yep, you need
So I kept doing it until it stopped doing that. It stays orange for a
Yep.
week.
Yep.
Oh, you don't need it anymore because that's stupid. Okay.
Also, our foods today are very processed. And the foods are not processed to make them more nutritious or to make them easier to digest. The foods are processed in order to make them have a longer shelf life and to make them not tempting for mice, for rodents and vermin.
Like a Twinkie.
It lasts
I'm
forever.
not trying to name a Twinkie, but
It'll last forever.
It'll last
It'll
forever.
last forever.
2,000 years from now, it's
McDonald's
still fresh,
hamburger.
ready
Yeah,
to
I
go.
see all these people posting pictures of McDonald's hamburgers that they bought years and years ago, and
And
they
it
left
looks
it, and it's
exactly
it
the
hasn't,
same.
it hasn't rotted. It hasn't been eaten by
Yeah.
bugs.
Yeah, my dog would make a mess of that.
Better believe
But
it.
we eat it.
We do eat it.
Yeah, well, yep, we're getting better. We're waking up.
And processed
I
sugar
think more and
doesn't
more
have the
people are getting
fiber
the
of
hang of this.
natural sugars, and it's an it causes an inflammatory process too. So you want to get as close to natural, like Dr. D was alluding to. You want to eat more fruits and vegetables.
Yeah.
You want to try to not eat the highly processed foods. Instead of grabbing the bag of potato chips, grab an apple. And then if you still want the potato chips, you'll eat less of them. Start slow.
Nice. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with
So
that.
let's go on to the next subject. We went from D
Rest.
to rest.
To rest.
Rest.
Proper rest.
We all need more rest, I think,
We do.
sometimes.
So, to me, the perfect rest is when you wake up rested.
With no
With
alarm
no
clock.
alarm clock.
Just
Yes.
wake up and go,
Just wake up.
"Woo!
Let's start
Man.
the day.
Rockin' day. That's rested.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you wake up and you go, I just need
Yeah.
more sleep, and that's not rested.
Right.
Not
Okay.
at all.
Yeah.
Right.
So what happens when you rest? What happens to your body?
You tell me.
You're
Well-
healing,
Healing.
yeah,
Your body's
digesting.
digesting. It's recovering from the day. It's growing. It's lack of
What
sleep.
about the mental part of it?
Lack
too?
of sleep. Well, your brain is working on all kinds of problems while you're sleeping. Your subconscious. Lack of sleep has been implicated in all kinds of conditions, not just foggy mental thinking, but it's been implicated in things with your internal organs like diabetes. It's one of the factors for diabetes.
Heart, blood pressure, all of those things.
Everything that can go wrong with the body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. They tried doing experiments where they don't let the person sleep. So while they're walking around, they start dreaming. While they're awake, they're walking around, or driving is even scarier. And they did those experiments too. They got them
gosh.
driving, and they're measuring how many times they actually are sleeping
Yeah.
while driving.
Oh, that's terrifying.
insane.
Yeah.
And it's happening
People
because
do
your
it
body
every day.
requires it.
Yeah,
So it's
people
like,
do that every day. I bet you on M20, you got that happening all the
All
time
the
between
time.
Midland and
All
Mount
the
Pleasant. I'm sure. I'm sure of it.
pretty bad.
So how much sleep does someone need, you think?
To where you feel rested. I've known people 3 hours. I've known people 12 hours. I mean, the average they say is 8.
Right.
Yeah.
Or 7 to 8, or
7 to 8.
somewhere in there, or 7 to 9. But how much is enough? Whatever that is for you. So I know when I'm under a tremendous amount of stress, I should be getting more sleep.
Yeah.
But that's when you don't.
And that's when you don't. So, I mean,
And that's when you get sick. One of the things you don't
And
sleep
mental.
enough.
Oh, my
you
God.
run yourself ragged and you end
Right.
up sick.
so
Yeah,
a
that's
lot of
true.
people, like I'm looking at the mental part of it, it's like if you take a drug to go to sleep, you miss the REM sleep. You're shooting for REM. You don't need a lot of REM, but you need that, where you
need
see
to
the
get
dog going
there.
like this for a minute, or too many minutes, you go, stop already, but
Especially if he's in your bed with you.
yeah, it's like the whole bed's moving. I go, what is this? Quit putting quarters in my bed. Okay, so it's like that REM sleep, though, is what you're looking for. And
Yeah.
it takes somewhere between 2 and 4 hours to get it. So
Wow.
I know when I wanted to sleep less because I needed the time, I would shoot for my REM sleep. So as I'm going to bed, I would say, go to the dream.
Go to the
straight to
dream.
the dream. Start dreaming. So before I even fell asleep, I'm already starting to dream. Poof, I had my REM sleep. Bam, I just slept. I got a 2 to 4 hour sleep in minutes. 50 minutes later, I mean, I'm already took a chunk out of sleep. And so that's what we're looking for. And we don't understand it. I mean, we are learning more. Don't get me wrong. When I first went to college, they knew nothing. Not a thing about sleep at all. And I know one of my buddies was into it, and he was doing the research and all, and it was amazing. Amazing info. But we learned more and more and more. And now we have that thing for breathing. You probably stop breathing.
Yeah.
The people die in the middle of the night
Yep,
too many
sleep
times.
apnea. Yep.
You're allowed to die so many times, but then we want you to do less of that.
50 times max.
And it's very cool stuff, though, I'm saying. And
Yeah,
we're
it
learning
is.
more and more.
It's incredible.
So REM is what we're looking for. And you only need like 3 of them for a full night's sleep. 4. Some people survive on 2. Well, I was saying, though, if you take a medication to knock you out, you're not actually getting any sleep. You're missing it.
Yeah, you're tricking
So
your
then when
system.
you have psychological weirdness, you have to believe that maybe it's from your sleeping habits are
Sure.
terrible. And you never let your brain rest and get
Yeah.
that figuring out session of what you're supposed to do next. Anyway,
I agree
Yeah.
with that.
let's go to the
Absolutely.
next one.
E is for exercise.
E is for exercise.
Exercise.
What does exercise do?
Get your body moving, get your blood flowing, and get your heart pumping. Yeah,
Does all kinds of things.
does all great. kinds of
Weight-bearing
things.
exercises are great for bone density. Aerobic exercise for heart and lungs.
I know you're really into this stuff.
Motion. Like once we reach a certain age, there's no circulation to our discs. So motion is how you get nutrients in and waste out. So
Oh, yeah.
motion helps pump the nutrients into the disc, but also other joints too. They get the nutrients.
Everybody remembers there's a grandma or a grandpa you're looking at and you go, when did you get so short like that? It's because they lost 3-4 inches.
Yep.
And it's because they may have hurt their back. They quit moving. So then all those discs just dry out and you're looking at so much space for each one of those discs.
Yep.
And unbelievable.
Right.
I think the elderly population is my favorite ones to work with
Oh yeah.
because they need it so much.
Remember
they
Jack
need-
LaLanne?
Yeah. He never stopped moving, that
So-
guy.
Exercise.
I was on I still am actually. So the student committee. So I'd go to all these colleges, chiropractic
Yeah.
schools. There were several chiropractic schools where
The juice guy.
the juice guy. He set up a whole program for elderly,
Yep.
and they could come for free.
Yep.
And each unit had a video on there showing how to use the machine. There were like 6, 7, 8 machines.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, wow, he did that.
Yeah.
He
That's
was actually a chiropractor too.
Yes.
So
And
I guess nobody knows that. I shouldn't say that. Yeah, that's
He
good.
really started out, he was known for his exercise program. In fact, the jumping jack was named after Jack LaLanne.
Which is pretty cool, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's
very, very
Jumping
cool.
jacks are
Jumping
Jack
jacks.
LaLanne,
Jack
right?
LaLanne.
Right.
So awesome.
Well, we tell everybody in our practice that if you don't move it, you lose it.
Yeah.
And it's true. And we see it with
Motion
all
is
ages.
life.
You'll
Big
see
time.
the person that comes in and they're barely moving and like, oh, my back's killing me. And then you look at their spine on an x-ray and it's all grown together and fused together. And it's not supposed to be that way. There's
Not
supposed to
even
be
close.
different segments. You should have 24 movable. There's 33 bones in your spine altogether. 24 of them should be able to move. And sometimes we'll see all of them just stuck to each other. And extra bone growth, arthritis, and it looks awful. And they're like, can you help me?
And that's what's amazing about chiropractic. It's all about motion.
Motion.
It's about keeping you moving.
Keeping you
and that's
moving.
very, very, very
See,
important.
that's why I have the sledge for that.
Right?
We'll get those moving.
We'll get them moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Pretty-
exercise is good. Get them moving. Tell them
It is.
to go for a
So
walk.
important.
Yeah.
Remember, I got electrocuted, so I was
Yeah.
down for a bit,
Oh, yeah.
and I atrophied.
Oh yeah.
Can't believe how much I atrophied. Now that means your muscles go away. So my muscles went away, and so I'm regrowing everything now, and not
By
everything,
exercising.
almost
By
everything. I
exercising.
forgot a couple spots, so yeah, I missed them. So I'm regrowing those now too. So I forgot a couple. Yeah. So I grew muscles, and then there's areas where there's nothing. I go, wait a minute. It's like paper thin, like a paper plate of muscle. I go, wait, I'm missing something here. And but it regrows, is my point. It regrows. They did experiments on these elderly people who weren't exercising, and how much muscle mass they did in just a few weeks. Because there's a memory in there.
Sure is.
And it just boom. So if you've ever exercised, it comes back quicker.
Yeah.
If you've never exercised, it's a lot slower, but that's okay. It's better than
Better
nothing.
than nothing.
Absolutely.
That's
And
right.
if you're not exercising like Dr. Deanna said, you can start slow, just go for a walk. Something simple. Just a
that
little
easy.
extra motion, a little extra resistance. Start slow.
Absolutely.
Let's pick up the next one. Attitude. I know I'm rushing this along, but
No,
I'd
not
like
at
to
all.
finish before we're over.
Attitude's so important.
Yeah. Attitude.
That thing in between our ears. How important
What
is
does that do? Well, one, it gets me to go exercise. One, my attitude gets me to take my vitamins.
Yeah.
My attitude.
There are studies about how positive mental attitude helps with health and healing. I think it was Cousins did a study on how laughter helped you heal faster.
Oh, yeah. And they were
Agree
showing how
with
the
that.
white blood cells, too, were
Start to change.
with a smile. How many, what did they say, 100,000 white blood cells just with a smile?
Or just, we used
That's
to,
crazy.
we used to,
insane.
when we were going to these motivational sessions, we used to go, yes, 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 yes. And you end up, you're happy, you're feeling better, and
Yeah.
just
I
a
feel like we
positive
should
attitude.
do that right now.
Let's
You want
do
to
it.
do that right now?
Okay, so audience, this is how it works. And by the way, I taught my kids this. I had a bunch of kids walking around going, yes, yes, yes. Anyway, yes is a great word. Why? Because you get no all the time. Can I do this? No. Can I have this? No. Can I? No. Millions of no's, but very few yeses. So this is to help catch up on the yeses. So we start off slow and easy. We go, yes. Oh, we're doing it now?
Yes.
I was giving instructions
Okay.
first. Okay,
Oh,
we're all
cool.
excited about doing it. So, and we're going to start slow, and then we're going to go faster and louder and louder. And when we're done, and you guys can do it too, notice what attitude you had before you started compared to when you're done.
It's going to be great.
Right? Okay, here we go. Yes.
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 Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. And there we are. Boom, shakalaka.
It's hard not to smile.
Yeah, everyone's smiling,
I
everyone's
mean-
happy, and I've done that.
It gets you pumped up.
Definitely shows you that who's in charge of your attitude.
We are.
We
Yeah.
are.
Most definitely.
You are in charge of your own attitude. If you want to be miserable, happy, grand, glorious, you're in charge of that.
We might not control our circumstances, but we can control how we respond to our circumstances.
Ooh.
Right.
Our outcome, our
Walk
choices.
through the gates of hell, singing and dancing. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, yeah. drives some people crazy.
I think we shouldn't have let him do this yes thing. He's all too happy now.
So, I know I've been criticized a lot that, when going through hell, you're not supposed to be this happy guy.
Yeah.
But
You say,
that's
why
up
not?
to me.
Right.
I can be as happy as I want
That's
to be.
right. And my dad taught me that. It was like, look, it's a choice thing.
It's a choice.
It is a choice.
And he showed me that. I said, wow, I now own that. And so my whole life everyone's saying, why are you so happy all the time? Well,
Beats
I
the
decided
alternative.
to.
Yeah, right.
My mom was negative. My dad was positive. So I got to see it live. Yeah, I can make choices. That's why I say it's up to me. I could be negative or I could be positive. And I see them both very clearly. She was extremely negative. He was extremely, like total extremes.
Opposites attract.
They were very opposite. And hers, she was like an intellect. Really smart. And anyway, pretty amazing. I got to pick and choose what I wanted as I'm going through life. And it's kind of weird. Because some people think it's your circumstances that are what's creating all this. It has nothing to
It's your
do with
perception.
it.
Yeah.
I remember when we were blowing up, was it Iraq? Yeah, Iraq. We were blowing up Iraq. Missiles. So in the midst of all these missiles, I'm looking down, it's on the news, and I go, boy, that's terrifying. That's awful. That's horrible. There's these kids playing with sticks underneath the missile thing. They're playing with a bug. There was a bug about that big on the ground. And they're just having the time of their lives playing
With missiles.
with missiles shooting up.
Where most of us would be like
Oh my
losing
God,
it.
yeah,
Completely
holy
losing
cow.
We would shut down.
That's all I saw was these little kids that were playing with the stick, with this bug.
it. Yep.
Maybe they should be torturing the bug, but they didn't kill the bug. They were just playing with it.
Yeah.
Which I've played with bugs. Not today, but in the past. So
But how you deal with that situation.
right.
Whether
Oh,
it's
the
an
way you wanna look
argument
at
or
it.
whether it's a loss of something, how
So-
you deal with it and the choices you make are
So
going to
here I am.
be the
I
outcome.
mean, how much stress did I have today? For me, very little. I'm happy.
You had an amazing breakfast.
Red,
so.
I had amazing breakfast, which I didn't finish yet. It's still half eaten. So it was so much. So I think I'm going to have it for lunch too. So here I am, happy-go-lucky. But then there's some people who stress out boiling an egg.
Seriously.
That's true.
And they're totally freaked out, sweating profusely. The egg's boiling. What if it cracks? Or what if it, who cares? Is that the biggest thing in your life? And why would that matter to you?
And that attitude does things to your body that are not a positive attitude. Positive. I mean, it can make you sick.
It can
Very
definitely
sick.
make you sick. They say cancers, most people are negative.
Yep.
Not all of them,
Oh,
but
yeah.
most of them.
Absolutely.
That negative attitude brings about, and they're going to find out later, that it brings out more acidic. I bet you it changes the actual pH levels
Of the body.
Guaranteed.
of the body,
Absolutely.
and that would, anyway. So I bet you that's going on there, and I'm sure there's going to be more research on it.
Yeah.
There might be research on it. I got to look into that one more.
I read of this guy, Burchard. He did a research on 2,000 people, and he was looking for top performers. And why were they a top performer? Whether it was golf or a business, or they were a writer. And what he came up with was the way they think and their attitude is what allowed them to be that top performer. It had nothing to do with how much money they had or how they ate or how athletic they were. It was all in between their ears and how they were thinking at the end of the day.
It's so incredible stuff.
Yeah.
They did another test on them. Was we did several different groups. They said you're not gonna practice and you're not gonna. Do you remember this one?
Oh, the basketball players.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to watch videos.
Right.
You're going to shoot.
And you're gonna visualize doing it.
Yep.
And the visualize could shoot just as good,
Good.
as the guys who were practicing.
Yep.
But not the ones who were goofing off.
Yeah, there was also a POW I remember reading about, and every day he went through and practiced golf in his mind. And then when he was freed, he was fantastic at golf.
Wow.
It's incredible.
It is incredible.
Power
Yeah.
of our minds.
Yeah.
And what's the last one? Let's think here. Dream. So you got diet, rest, exercise,
Maintenance.
attitude, and maintenance of the spine. How important is that, little guy? Maintenance of the spine, yes.
Well, the nervous system goes from the brain through the spine to every nerve and tissue of the body. So if the spine is misaligned, it can affect the nervous system that can affect anything.
Yep, and yep.
And basically, DREA makes all of that happen if you're not doing it properly. If you have a negative attitude, if you're not exercising, if you don't have a good diet, if you don't have the proper rest, the maintenance of the spine is going to be completely destroyed. So that's where we get subluxation. So I think that's it's an important one.
And so maintenance of the spine, go to the chiropractor, get adjusted, but also exercise.
Absolutely.
Proper ergonomics, proper lifting, proper positioning. You don't want to, like the newest thing we have is text neck. We are always looking down. So are you creating a healthy spine or an unhealthy spine when the spine should actually be straight, and actually the curve in the neck is the opposite of when you're looking down?
Dr. Oz did a whole thing on that the other day.
Did he?
Yeah. He's becoming a real chiropractic supporter all of a sudden. I don't know what's
Wow.
going on. Something's happening. He must have got hurt and got adjusted or something.
Right?
Changed his life
I mean,
kind of thing.
let me tell you, we see the kids come into our practice. We take x-rays from the age of 15 to 25. Their spines are way worse than
The
anybody
50-year-olds
that's
that come
70.
in have better looking spines
The
than
which ones?
the
50-year-olds.
50-year-olds have a better looking spine than what we're seeing.
As far as reverse cervical curve.
Yes, yes.
Oh, yeah.
And you see these young kids, 18 to
Unless you're
25.
advanced and you are on that phone doing
Ooh.
Some people are playing the games.
It's crazy.
It's just amazing to see though the changes that, I mean, just within decades. I mean, what's going to happen now with the health of these kids with their spines deteriorating at such a faster rate?
And that'll affect their
Wow.
health and their organs too.
Yeah.
I know you're new for right now in Mount Pleasant, but when you want a nice little project, I developed with a couple of my sons, maybe all of them, and my daughter, a program to do in the schools. And I was given from Dr. Kirk. He gave me permission to use any of his info. I have a whole thing, and it's been proven, tested. Even the jokes, like when they laugh and all that, it's all documented. And I kind of backed off on that because trying to get the chiropractors to do something was like pulling teeth. You know, it's like work. But
So it's teaching kids
this
to
is
take care of
something
their
you
spines.
might love.
Yeah.
It's a program you teach the kindergarten, first, second, third grade kind of thing.
Okay.
And then you go in each year and just eventually you'll get to just the kindergarten or just the first grade. Teaches them about how the nervous system works. It teaches them how the, proper lifting and proper, like carrying their back, all their books.
Sure.
And things like that. And they
Proper
get it.
ergonomics.
Oh my God, do they get it? Because there's nothing there for them not to get.
Right.
It's just all common sense stuff. So
Sure.
they really get it. You mentioned a word, a big word. We should tell everyone what that is. Subluxation, I heard you say.
Yeah.
Which is the only reason we're all here.
That's
Because
right.
that's what we fix.
Absolutely.
What is that for everyone to know?
So subluxation it's very simple. It's just a bone with pressure on a nerve. And when that bone gets twisted in your spine, it gets a nerve, and there's a nerve attached to every single bone that we have in our spine. There's these little nerve endings. They go to each organ, cell, and tissue in our body. Up here could be related to our heart. This down here could be related to our stomach. But through the stress, and we talk about dream, if we're not doing all of those things properly, that puts stress on our body, and it causes these things called subluxation, where these move out of place and they put pressure on nerves. And that's where we get symptoms, where we can get pain, we could have upset stomach, we could have allergies. There's a gazillion symptoms, too many to list at this moment. But that's essentially what subluxation is. It's just bone putting pressure on a nerve. So
So if
and a
you're out
chiropractor
there-
is really the only person in the professional world that can actually correct a subluxation. So we need to make that very clear.
So when your guys are out there and you feel like you've done everything, if you haven't tried chiropractic, you haven't done everything, because there's a
That's
whole
right.
other world there.
And it's not just for back
Absolutely.
pains and musculoskeletal problems, because like JD was saying, the nerves go to the organs,
Yep.
and it can affect your health in other ways besides pain and improper motion.
Absolutely.
And it's been well documented over and over
Oh.
and over and over and over again. So,
Many times.
We're going to do some exercises in a few minutes to help keeping your spine balanced and help keeping it in good posture. We're going to go over some of that in a few minutes. One thing I'm looking at posture, when I wake up in the morning, I take a second and I look at my body and I get nice and straight and I close my eyes and then I don't move and I open them. And if my shoulder's way up high, I'll stretch my arm down my leg and it'll bring my shoulder down. And then I hold it for a second, maybe take a deep breath, let it all the way out and do it a little extra, and then I bring it back.
Or you might see your head's a little tipped. One ear is lower than the other, so you want to stretch it in the opposite direction.
So you would stretch it, take a deep breath, and then stretch it some more, and then you stretch it a little bit more. Okay, the second one moves a bunch. The next one, I got to do it the other way because I don't think I was screwed up.
Yeah, it's very important to do both sides.
Be symmetrical.
Be
Yep.
symmetrical. And there you go. And that's what Jack LaLanne was all about, stretching,
sure was.
exercising. And
Yeah.
he had a whole thing on how the nervous system works and all that. Because, again, he went to chiropractic school. It was Paul Bragg who taught him about nutrition. And then after that, he kept learning more and more and more. And then he went to chiropractic school and just took it all in.
Yeah.
And so we have 2 minutes left. Dr. D, welcome to Michigan. Glad to have you on
Glad
here.
to have you
And
both.
Thank
I
you.
love working with you. So
We love being here.
and JD,
Thank you.
welcome,
Thank you very
welcome.
much.
He's
Thank
running
you.
that office. And
We
We're
appreciate
a
it
good
very
team,
much.
and
Yep.
we love it. We just want to help the
Yep.
community be healthier, and that's
that's
what we're all
it's all-
about.
And you're young and vivacious and effervescent and
Thank
rocking
you.
and fantastic. And Dr. Tony, thank you for being here as usual. And you guys will carry on with these exercises. And again, I'm Dr. Rodnick, and thank you for hanging and listening with us on Ask the Chiropractor. We'll see you next month.
Well, hi guys, it's Dr. D here and
And Dr. Tony,
Dr. Tony, and
welcome back to Ask the Chiropractor.
Right. One of the things that we talk about regularly in our practices is the right exercises to improve your spinal health and to help your posture improve and to help your brain work better with your body. So we're going to show you a couple exercises here. Okay, so the first one, this comes from a series of exercises called Straighten Up America. Right? Yeah, Straighten Up America. And the first exercise that we're going to show you is called, it's called the Eagle. And so it's very simple. All these you can just do at home. I always recommend that you do these twice a day at least. Do them when you're brushing your teeth in the morning, and then before you go to bed at night, do them again, because it'll just help you improve your overall posture and overall health. Okay, so the Eagle. We're going to just stand, make some space for yourself here, and we're going to raise both of our arms up above our head, straight up. And I want you to try to make yourself as tall as you possibly can, as if someone's pulling strings right on your wrist, to pulling your hand straight up towards the ceiling. And hold your stomach in also, your abs in, and just breathe. And then bring the arms back down like eagle's wings. And then we're going to do that again and bring them up again. And down again. Good. And Mike is pulling back on my shirt here. Okay, so now the next one is going to be called the hummingbird, right? So for this one, I want you to bring your arms up. Line them up with your shoulders and the sides of your head. And we're going to be doing circles with our arms, only going backwards. So we're going to move backwards, just like this. And really try to squeeze your shoulder blades together. And just really feel it. And do about, I would say about 20 circles. And then we like doing this next one called the drunken hummingbird, correct? So we're going to tilt to one side.
Or we can say PG, happy hummingbird.
Happy hummingbird. Here we go. So the happy hummingbird, 20 circles to one side, and then whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other also. So we're going to go to the other side here. Do the same thing. Great. And then back to the center again. Okay. And next, the next exercise that we're going to do is called, let's see,
The butterfly.
the butterfly. And the butterfly. So this time you're going to take your hands and you're going to place them behind your neck or behind your head, and you're going to press back into your hands a little bit and kind of massage through your neck. And then open up your arms. I believe you're stretching with this one, correct?
And you're moving your head backwards. The motion is you're moving your neck backwards.
Tucking your chin
and you're
in.
strengthening the muscles in the back of your neck.
So you just press, and your hands are the resistance that you're pressing in towards. Good. And hold it, and then release it. And then do it again. And hold it again for about 20 seconds. And release it again. That feels pretty good. Okay, and with that, I'm going to bring my arms down now. And Dr. Tony, do you have any other exercises you'd like to add in there?
No, that's what we're going to go over today. We just call these the spinal hygiene, so do it with your dental hygiene like Dr. D said. It's been great. It's been Ask the Chiropractor. Dr. Rodnick always likes to say, God gave you the gift of life. What you do with that life is your gift back to God. Go live a happy life and give back to God and the community. Have a great one. Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thank you for
Thanks,
joining
guys.
us.